Om Sai Ram. Let us now understand chapter number 10, which is the greatness of Shri Sai Samartha. But before that, let us do the Namasmaran, and after which, the chapter number 10, which is the greatness of Shri Sai Samartha, followed by the Aarti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम श्री साईनाथाय नमः। 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 Om Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 10, the greatness of Shri Sai Samartha. I bow down to Shri Ganesh. I bow down to Shri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family. I bow down to Shri Sita Ramachandra. And I bow down to Shri Samartha Satguru Sainath, the one who is always engaged in doing good to all people, who is permanently established in Brahman. Remember him always with devotion in your heart. By merely remembering him, the riddle of life and death is resolved. This is the best sadhana for which one does not have to spend even a single pi. With little efforts, we can get substantial gains. The gain is easily attained by all. Till all the faculties are intact, every moment should be thus utilized. All the other deities are an illusion. Guru is the only God. When you place your faith at his feet, he can only change your destiny. When there is pure service to the Guru, the worldly bondage is completely destroyed. There is no need to learn logic, and in such sciences which are akin to it and take the pains over anything. The ocean of threefold difficulties will be crossed by faithful devotees when the true Guru becomes the navigator of the ship. When one wishes to cross the ocean, one must have faith in the navigator. Similarly, to cross the samsaric ocean, one must have faith in the Guru. When he sees the leap of faith and devotion of the devotee, he gives the wealth of happiness due to moksha in the palms of the hands most easily. By having his darshan, the ties of the heart to all evil tendencies are broken off. Detachment towards all passions take place, and the effect of the previous births disappear. Let us sing his praises. In the eighth chapter, the purpose of the human birth was explained, and in the ninth, the deep understanding and the secret nature of medicacy was described. Baizabi's vegetables and Bhakri, how she fed him, Kushal Chand's well being, the sleeping together of Tatya and Malsapati. This was pleasantly described. Oh, you listeners, now pay attention to the further description of Baba's life, how he lived and where he slept, and how he inconceivably pervaded everything. What a lifetime of being a celebrity. He was a mother to both Hindus and Muslims. He had the confidence even of natural enemies. They could move about without fear, with a heart full of love. I have told you about his daily routine. Now let us know of the ways of living and where he slept. Oh, listeners, listen with respect. A wooden plank in length equal to 4 arm length and a span wide, used to hang like a swing, tied to the ceiling by the means of a few rags at both ends. On one such plank Baba slept. The earthen lamps would burn at his head and his feet. When he climbed up or climbed down was not known to anyone. Inconceivable are his movements. He sat on it with his head bent. Sometimes he slept on it, but no one knew when he climbed up or when he climbed down. A plank which was tied by means of rags, how could it hold Baba's weight? But when he had the great Siddhi, the plank was just a pretext. Even a tiny particle pricks the eye, but a person who has mastered the siddhi of anima to become as small as an atom can hide with ease. Baba was able to freely move about in the form of a fly or a worm or an ant. One who has anima siddhi at his service. Does it take time for him to take the form of a fly? He can stay hanging in the sky without support. What can he care for a plank? When the eightfold siddhis, such as Anima, Mahima, Laghima, like the nine treasures, and standing beside him with folded arms, that is his service. For him, the plank is only a pretext. Insect, ant, pig, dog, animal, bird, man, king, beggar, big or small, he looked at all of them with equality. Although he seemingly resided in Shirdi and had a body 3.5 cubits, he lived in every person's heart. Maharaj, who was the store of Punya, in his heart, he was detached and not involved, but outwardly he was fond of having people all around him, though in his heart he had no wish to fulfill outwardly, and he was ensnared by the devotees. Inwardly, he was completely desireless, but outwardly, for the sake of his devotees, he had desires to fulfill. His mind was the abode of peace, but within but his behavior was excessively intense. In his heart of hearts, he enjoyed the ultimate Brahma like bliss, but outwardly he showed the nature of the devil. On the surface, he was involved with the affairs of the world, but within he had the love of oneness or unity. Sometimes he had the look of affection in his eyes, but at times he would run after a person carrying a stone. Sometimes he shouted and cursed, and sometimes he would embrace with love. Sometimes he would completely be at peace and subdued, patient and forbearing, always absorbed in meditation, self realized, but sometimes and he would always be engaged in thoughts of the soul, a delight for the devotees. He sat meditating in one posture as a yogi. He did not go hither or thither. He only dant was the sattva. Every yogi has a dant. He remained still and uncomplaining. He had no desire of fame, wealth, and lived by begging alms. Advanced in knowledge of yoga at the highest level and lived by it. Actually, he wore the garments of a sannyasi and his dand was his satta. He continuously recited the word Allah Malik. He was always nurtured with great love for his devotees. Such is the manifested form of Sai, possessed of attributes, appearing in the human form unexpectedly. We have received this treasure because of our good deeds in the past. Surprisingly, the ways of destiny whereby those dull headed, ignorant people were blessed by the love of Him. How had they really been able to reach him? Sai is the mind of self realization. Sai is complete peace in itself. Hold fast only to him devotedly to cross the worldly ocean. Truly, that which is boundless and eternal, filled from Brahma to Satma, that which is everlasting and identical. Baba is that incarnate. The duration of Kali Yuga is counted as 4,32,000 years since its commencement. Roughly 5,000 years have passed. Baba then appeared. Here, the listeners might doubt how I have arrived at this without the knowledge of his date of birth. So, listen carefully with respect. After his reappearance, having taken the decision to be the resident of Shirdi, he spent 60 years thereafter, renouncing everything. He was 16 years when he first appeared in Shirdi. At that time, he lived there for 3 years. From there, where did he disappear? He was seen in a far off kingdom of Nizam. He then returned with the marriage party and permanently stayed in Shirdi. He was 20 then. Since then, he has been permanently associated with Shirdi. There, he spent 60 years. This is known to all. In Shake 1840, which is 1918 AD, in the month of Ashwin, on the 10th day of the bright fortnight, on the auspicious day of Dasara, Baba left for his heavenly abode. Thus, having lived for 80 years, one can broadly conclude that Baba was born in Shake 1760, that is 1838 AD. The great souls who transcend time and space, can their lifespan be exactly calculated? It is a formidable task. The great souls are existing in their own orbit. They are neither born nor do they die. How can the sun rise or set when in reality it is steady and immovable? In Shake 1603, that is 1681 AD, Ramdas took Samadhi, and not even 2 centuries have passed when the Great One was born. In those days, Bharat was invaded by Muslims and Hindu kings were subdued. Devotionalism had disappeared and people had lost faith in religion. At that time, Ramdas was born. With the help of Shivaji, he saved the country from Muslims and the cows and Brahmins were protected. Even 2 centuries had not passed, and again the peace was disrupted. There was a fraction between Hindus and Muslims which was then eradicated by Baba. Ram and Rahim are one. There is no slightest difference. In that case, why should there be an obstruction to devotion and indifferent behavior towards each other? Oh, you ignorant children, bring Hindus and Muslims together. Be firm on your path and have good thoughts. Then only you will be able to cross to the other side. It is not good to argue. Do not carry to or try to compete with each other. Always think of one's own good and God will protect you. Practicing yoga, performing rituals, doing penance, acquiring knowledge. These are all the means for attainment of God. One who does all this without the grace of God is worthless in his birth. If anyone harms you in any way, you should not retaliate. If possible, try to obey and oblige each other. This is the sum total of his teaching. For the sake of one's own good and for the sake of ultimate good in life, this is an all embracing creed. It's a straightforward path for all, including the high and the low, the woman and the Sudras, just as the grandeur of the kingdom of dreams turn into nothingness and as soon as the person awakens. Similarly, this world is just an illusion. This is his conviction. His regular behavior or disposition is based on the conviction of illusionary nature of pleasure and pain regarding the body. According to him, these were wanderings of the mind as in a dream. Therefore, he was warded of illusion and reached a state. He was warded of illusion and the nature of pleasure and pain regarding his body. According to him, these were the wanderings of a mind. Therefore, he warded off the illusion and reached the stage of emancipation. When the eyes sees the worldly attachment of his disciples, his heart melts with pity and his worry day and night to remove those bonds. His whole nature is one with Brahman. He is the embodiment of personal bliss. His mind is without any doubts. He is the incarnation of resignation, that is, denial of pleasures. He does not carry any symbols or a flute or does not go to every doorstep. He also does not beg from every passerby with a grief stricken face. Many such gurus are those who collect a number of disciples around them and who forcefully give a mantra in the ear merely to make money. They teach their disciples righteousness, but their own behavior is contrary. How will they help to cross the worldly ocean and avoid the cycle of life and death? To make this known, his piety, religious merit, or let his name reach far and wide. That was not at all the intention. Such was Sai. There was no bodily pride in him. He had great love of his disciples. Always this was his nature. Such was Sai. There are two types of gurus, Niyata, decided by destiny, and Anyata. For the sake of the listeners, the working of each will be explained. The Anyata Guru is on the development of divine qualities and purification of the mind. These are only things that an Anyata Guru can grant. He can also show the path towards moksha. When the bond is established with a Niyata Guru, the twofold nature of self disappears. Oneness with God takes place, and he gives witness to the great statement that God and yourself are not different. The universe is full of gurus who manifest for the sake of their devotees, and when their mission is complete, they take samadhi. Sai is of the second category of gurus. How can I describe him? I will write as he guides me. There are many teachers available for physical sciences, but he who brings a student to realize his own nature is the Satguru. He is real, the great one who can take you across worldly oceans. His greatness is imperceptible. Whoever goes to take darshan, Sai tells him his past, present, and the future. Sai, without being asked, knows and narrates the motives and intentions and everything in detail. He who looks at everything and all the creatures as Brahman itself, who looks upon friends and foes with equality, and who does not discriminate the least. He is without expectations and regards everything equally, showers nectar of blessing even on those who does not have done any harm to him. His mind remains unperturbed in good and bad times. He entertains no doubts. Though living in the perishable body, he is not entangled in the bonds of the body. Outwardly, he looks a physical being, but inwardly, he is without the body. Such a person is truly liberated to with a body. Blessed are those residents of Shirdi whose deity is Sai and who worship him and constantly think of him while eating, drinking, or sleeping. Blessed are those and their affection for Sai who, while working on the farm or being in their backyard, grinding, husking, or churning buttermilk, sing the praises of Sai. There are those who never thought of any deity other than Baba and who continuously remembered him while sitting, eating, and sleeping. How wonderful is the love of those women! What sweetness their love possessed! Pure love inspires poetry and not mere learning. Though the language is simple and straightforward and does not have a fragment of scholarship, in spite of the poetry, it's so lustrous that it makes even the erudite nod his head in appreciation. The manifestation of real love only could compose genuine poetry that can be heard by the listeners in the composition of the ladies. If Sai Baba so wishes that the complete collections would be available to the listeners, the wishes will be fulfilled. They would be able to listen to those poetical compositions. So be it. Because of the devotion of the devotees, the Nirakar, that is, which is without form, has manifested in Shirdi in the form of Sai, who he who had abandoned bodily ego and who had no passions understand him through devotion, or the collective good deeds of the devotees who have borne fruit completely at the opportune time. In Sai's form, they have sprouted and borne fruit in Shirdi. That which is mute breaks into speech, that which cannot be born comes alive, that which is abstract takes a form from the very mold of the essence of mercy. He is the embodiment of the six virtues. He shines with success, wealth, no non attachment, intelligence, prosperity, and generosity. Baba's restraint is extraordinary. He himself does not possess anything. Though he is formless, he takes form to grant the grace to his devotees. Oh, how wonderful is his kindness that he enjoins the devotees to himself with affection. Otherwise, which other godly person could they have reached? The great Saint Sai speaks such words for the sake of the good of his devotees, that those words, even the deity of speech, is not able to speak. Such words that even the ears are put to shame to hear. It is better not to explain the words but to keep silent. But since I cannot evade my duty, I am compelled to speak out. For the love of devotees, Baba's words spoke great humility. I am humblest of your servants. I am your debtor. I have come to here to have your darshan. This is the great favor of yours that I have been able to reach your feet. I am a maggot in your excreta. I consider myself blessed thereby. What humility on the part of Baba! How much he desired to be humble! What height of complete abandonment of ego! He was equally modest too. The above mentioned words of Baba were really spoken by him, and I have respectfully presented them. If anyone feels that it is disrespectful, then I beg pardon. If the speech has become impure and if the sin of hearing is to be avoided, let us recite Sai's name continuously. It will cleanse the sins of all. Our austerities of all previous births have borne fruit by Sai's grace. It gives endless contentment, like a thirsty person obtains on being given water at a water distributing place. Though it seems that he relishes food through his tongue, actually, he does not feel taste because the taste buds are not aroused. He who does not have any passions, how can he said to be enjoy any pleasures? Where the pleasures do not affect his senses, how can he be said to indulge in pleasures? Though through his eyes he perceives things which come before him, but he does not actually see them, and he does not have the desire for them. The genital organs of Hanuman were seen only by his mother and Sri Ram. Therefore, then with whom can his celibacy be considered comparable? When even the mother has not seen the private organs, then what about the others? Baba's celibacy was the highest kind, complete in itself and exceptional. He used to wear only a codpiece or loin cloth around his waist. His genitals were never aroused. They were only for the sake of performing the bodily functions of urination or excretion. They were only for the sake of bodily function. Such was the state of Baba's body that even though the sense organs performed their duties, yet they were not even an iota of passion which aroused. Because of the sattva, raja, and tama guna qualities, all the sense organs were tied down to their respective places. Though in practical sense they were active, there was no attachment involved. Baba was not attached. He was the supreme being turned towards himself, whose desire and anger was put to rest, who was free from desires and attachments, and who had completely achieved his mission. Such was his state of liberation that he regarded the sense objects as Brahman. He was beyond good deeds and bad. He was the abode of complete repose. When Nanavali asked him to get up, he left his seat. Such is he who does not have the slightest of ego or who does not even dream of discrimination. He had nothing left to achieve in this world and nothing left to accomplish in the next. Such a saint, in order to grace and serve the people, he manifested on this earth. The purpose of manifestation of such merciful saints is none other than to grant favors to others, to oblige others for their welfare. Their hearts are like butter. Some say they were soft hearted. They melt in tenderness over the suffering of others. They feel that it is their own suffering. That is why they melt like butter. Whose clothing is patched up kafni, whose seat is sackclothed, whose mind is free of desires. What is the silver throne for him? Seeing the devotion of his devotees, he ignored the fact that after their difficulties were resolved, turned their backs on him. Baba is the lotus of the lake in Shirdi. The devotees enjoyed the fragrance, but the unfortunate ones are those who walk into the mud all the time and partake only of the mire. He did not tell anyone to perform asanas or to practice pran, apan, yogic practices, or to control the sense organs, nor gave them mantras, or asked them to perform rituals, or gave them amulets, or asked them to sing and chant his bhajans. Such false or fake advice he did not give. Generally, he looked as if he was an ordinary person, but within he was different. He was extremely competent in practical life and was without fear. For the sake of devotees, he took a form. His emotions and passions were also for them. Such is the popular behavior of saints. All of you should realize this as the truth. Sai Maharaj is the treasure of peace. He is the abode of pure and heavenly bliss. I prostrate myself to him who is without ego and who is unsullied, undelified. The place is sacred and sanctifying, where Maharaj had come to stay on his own. Unless there is enough accumulated good fortune through previous birth, it is difficult to attain this treasure. Only from a pure seedling, juicy and sweety fruits can come. Purity bears juicy and sweet fruits, said Tukaram. This famous couplet has been tested by the people of Shirdi. He was neither a Hindu nor a Muslim. He does not belong to any caste or creed, but he was complete and destroys and annihilates the bonds of the world. Just as the sky is limitless and innumerable, so is Baba's life unfathomable. Who would properly understand it except himself? The work of the mind is to think that there is not a single moment when one does not think. If the subject is the senses, the mind will think of the senses. But if it is the guru, it will think of the guru. By listening with concentrated attention, turning all senses into the ears, whatever you have heard about the greatness of the guru is effortless smaran, that is remembrance, and Kirtan, stories in praise of the Lord of Sai, Panchagani Sadhan, rituals, performing sacrifices and burning sacrificial fires, recitation of mantras, tantras, chants and spells practicing Ashtanga Yoga are only possible for Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishnavas. What is the use of these for others? Such are not the stories of saints. They put everyone on the path of righteousness. They remove worldly fears and miseries and appear themselves for the welfare of others in attaining the goal of life. By listening and reflecting over the stories of saints, by their studious application and intent contemplation, the Brahmins, the low caste, and women are purified. There is no person without attachment. It is not possible for such a being to exist. Seeing some are attached to certain things and some others to something else, but a human being is looking for attachment. For some, the object of attachment is children. For some, it is money. For honor, riches, and some are attached to the body, the house, or popularity. Some in attaining knowledge. Whatever the attachment for different objects, if all such love is collected and poured in a mold at the feet of the Lord, then it appears in the form of devotion. Therefore, the easiest way out for a householder is to surrender his mind to the feet of Sai. Then he will bless you. If with such little efforts such great good can be achieved, then why should there be indifference to achieve this gain? Naturally, a doubt may occur in the minds of listeners that if such a gain is there, then why don't many people practice it? There is only one reason for this. The ardent desire does not arise without the Lord's grace. Only when the Lord chooses to bless his, with his grace, the desire to listen to his praises is awakened. Therefore, surrender to Sai, God will bless you. The ardent desire to listen to his praises will arise. This is the easy means to God. Hold on to good company of the Guru and the virtuous. Disentangle from worldly ties. Definitely herein is your fulfillment. Have no doubts. Abandoning all the million clever and cunning ways, recall always, sigh, sigh. You will be able to cross the worldly ocean. Have no doubts. These are not just my words, they are the profound words of Sai. Do not think that they are worthless. Do not try to evaluate them. Bad company is absolutely harmful. It is the abode of severe miseries. Unknowingly, it would take you to the bylanes, bypassing the highway of happiness without the one and only Sainath or without a Sadguru. Who else can purify the ill effects of bad company? Words spoken by the Guru out of compassion. O devotees, retain them in your heart. Your bad deeds will be washed away. The beauty of nature satisfies our eyes. Our aesthetic sense is attracted to it and enjoys it. If we divert that very sense, it would delight in satsang. Such is the greatness of a satsang. That is, it completely destroys the bodily pride and ego. Therefore, there is no other means than a satsang. Always do satsang. All other means have some faults. Only satsang is flawless. It is pure in every way. Satsang destroys bodily attachments. Such is the power of its strength. Once there is firm faith in it, there is truly liberation from the mundane world. If one is fortunate to have a satsang, then only one understands the preachings easily. At that very moment, the desire for bad company will melt away. The mind will be free to enjoy the satsang. In order to attain final emancipation, the only remedy is to have detachment of the senses. Unless one has the keen desire for satsang, one cannot realize the true identity. Happiness is followed by unhappiness, and unhappiness follows happiness. One welcomes happiness while one turns away from unhappiness. Whether you feel happiness or turn your back on your destiny, what will be. But to liberate oneself from both kinds of destined experiences, the company of the saint is the only way. Because of satsang, bodily attachment is destroyed. It is a satsang that breaks the cycle of birth and death. It is a satsang that gives the, the gains and the treasure of supreme energy and separates one from the worldly ties immediately. To attain the highest state, the company of a saint is purifying. If one surrenders completely, our permanent peace is assured. The saints manifest themselves to grant deliverance to the people who do not recite the name or bow down or have faith in them or sing their praises. Ganga, Bhagirathi, Godavari, Krishna, Venya, Kaveri, Narmada, these rivers also desire that saints come and bathe in the waters so that they may touch their feet. They themselves wash the sins of the world, but they themselves are not freed from sins unless they have touched the feet of the saints. By many good deeds of many previous lives, I have enjoined myself to the feet of Sai Maharaj. The cycle of birth and death has come to a standstill, and the fear of life has disappeared. Now, good listeners, let us reflect over what we have heard up to now. Let us rest now. Further narration will follow later. Hemad surrenders to Sai. I am like the sandal of his foot. I shall go on telling the stories and will be fully happy doing it. Oh, how delightful and handsome is the personality that standing outside the masjid distributes udi to the devotees one by one for their welfare. One who realizes that the mundane world is illusionary, and one who is engrossed in the Brahmanand, who, whose mind is like a bud burst open. Prostrations to him, the collyrium of knowledge that he puts in the eyes, removes the ignorance and takes you to his own abode. To Sai, whose greatness is such, I prostrate myself fully. The next chapter is better than this one. No sooner than the words enter your heart, through the years, they will purify the heart and drive away all wickedness. May there be well being. This is the end of the 10th chapter of Shri Sai Samartha Satcharithra, written by the devotee Hemat Pant, impelled by saints and virtuous people, called The Greatness of Shri Sai Samartha. This is offered to Shri Satguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness. We will conclude chapter number 10 with the Aarti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. शिरडी माझे पंढरपूर साई बाबा रमावर. बाबा रमावर साई बाबा रमावर. शुद्ध भक्ती चंद्रभागा भाव पुंडली जागा. पुंडलिक जागा भाव पुंडलिक जागा. याओ अवके जन करा बाबा श्री वंदन. साई श्री वंदन करा बाबा श्री वंदन. बनो बने बाबा साई भाव पाव माझे आई. पाव माझे आई भाव पाव माझे आई. बनेल कांगन बने गचरण तुयासी पाहिन रूप तुझे. प्रेमीन रंगीन अनंत पूजिम भवेव माहिन बने नमा. त्वमेव माता पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बंधु Chandra